song. This is a song that is used to commence all voyages. Come all you bold seamen.
It's an exciting time here at S.E.A. The students have just arrived. At this point, we've had sort of general introductions, and already the students are getting the introduction to the area of their cruise track. We'll be heading north along the Florida Shelf and then crossing the Florida Current one more time before it turns into the Gulf Stream.
Take a look at this chart. This is when we leave Key West.
We are getting these 18 students prepared to go out to sea, to be handy sailors and to be excellent shipmates.
To all our brave tars. Tars is what you will be in another 3 months as you get off the ships.
My name is Derek Castro, and I'm from Gloucester, Massachusetts. It's like a half an hour north of Boston. I go to boating college up in Maine.
We use the environment of the oceans as a testing ground for them, as a theme of something to learn about, but then also an environment to sort of work within to challenge them, challenge their understanding of how the world operates, challenge themselves personally, and to be able to sort of function in that kind of environment.
Well, I guess growing up in Gloucester, I worked in the ocean probably since I was like 10. And the only thing I hadn't done was sail. And I guess my options about studying abroad were either go to Spain and gain fluency or sail, you know, either the South Pacific or the Caribbean. And I decided I can't pass up sailing a 130-foot boat.
Each individual student is going to come to S.E.A. for different reasons. There's going to be some natural curiosity to know something about the oceans. It's going to be driven by the experience that they've had in their lifetime.
I think the oceans are so magnificent, and I love the sea. I've spent a lot of time there as a kid, and so I want to have a better understanding of the ocean as both a place I love and also as an important part of Earth's functioning. My name is Emily Thiem, and I'm originally from Moscow, Idaho, but I go to school in Lawrence University in Wisconsin. I'm studying geology.
This experience is going to be a challenge for a student of any major, because we're really asking them to do something that they probably have not been asked to do yet in their educational experience to this point. We want to teach these students to give them the skill set so they can begin learning on their own, and they do that by going through an independent research project. So while they're getting all this sort of content information during the short component, they're also beginning to explore and ask their own questions, questions that perhaps haven't been asked yet about the area that they're sailing in.
I'm feeling pretty great right now. It's really exciting. All the people I've met, especially the professors and my to-be captain, are wonderful people, it seems, and the fellow students as well. And the environment is just so kind of open and encouraging that it feels really nice.
We're 2 days into the program, and I'm sure the students are excited, but they're also, I'm sure, a bit overwhelmed. The benefits of that work will pay off because they'll be confident to be able to sort of step aboard that ship and be at the helm. They didn't sign up for a vacation. They signed up for an academic adventure, and that's largely what this is.
I love this first week. Yeah, it's filled with promise and fear and great, wonderful things.
My name is Elizabeth Wynn, and I'm an African and African American Studies major. I go to Carleton College in Northfield, Minnesota.
I think that using the ocean as our focus gives us a subject matter which really is ideally suited to be examined from multiple perspectives.
I sailed once on a tiny little boat in a lake in Maine, and I didn't do anything except duck when the thing swung.
One of the things that we have going for us is that the students know nothing about our subjects. none of them have taken this class before, if they have been, grown up sailing their whole life, they still know nothing about navigation. And so on the onset, it seems impossible. And then once we start working on it, it seems even harder because there's a lot to it. And then all of a sudden, most students just have this moment of clarity and then they can do it. And I think that is a pretty powerful growth experience for a lot of people.
The great thing about SEA semester is that we are free to go back and forth between subject matters and to make those connections between them. So the technology of nautical science, the hard science of oceanography, the the social sciences and the humanities that we can get through history, culture, policy, that all of those things together give us a vision of how this world works.
Well, it's coming from like here.
It's coming from right about there, right? So that is
Well, like northwest.
northwest. We see the warm front and the cold front together. What's that called? An occluded front, which means the cold front overtook the warm front, and this is starting to be the demise of this weather system.
I like to say that it's fairly clear what oceanography is doing because it's preparing you to go to sea as a scientist, and nautical science is preparing you to go to sea as a mariner. What I think maritime studies can do is prepare students to go to sea as human beings. But it also allows, I think, the whole of the SEA semester to be more interdisciplinary because maritime studies also allows us to look at the history of oceanography, the history of navigation, and so all of these things get tied together.
As we're reading Columbus, we're learning local apparent noon, which was how Columbus found his latitude. And while we're reading Jamaica Kincaid, who's writing about Antigua, we're learning about the currents and the winds that affect the climate around Antigua. So it all intersects in a very real way.
Four weeks ago, they really were having difficulty putting the words into a sentence. Now they're presenting posters and conversing as oceanographers with each other, not just with their professors, about the particular topic that they've chosen to study. We head to sea here in a week, and they will be stepping out of their comfort zone in a lot of ways. So it's sort of an anxious time getting prepared to go to sea because once you're out there, there's no going back. Once we cast out those dock lines, we are a separate community. Whatever resources we have to come up with them ourselves.
I feel pretty prepared as you can be with both feet on land. I still need boots, but otherwise I think I'm ready.
Once we cast off the dock lines, it's actually a whole weight is sort of removed because at that point it's like, if we don't have it, we don't have it, and we'll have to make do. We're 48 hours out at sea and the students came on board ship sort of wide-eyed, nervous, scared, excited all at the same time.
So you're staying in position and hand over hand, so don't walk with it forward, all right? Ready to halyard?
Ready!
Ready. Ready sheets?
Ready.
All right, set the mainstaysail, cast off your downhaul, all the way to your halyard, tend the sheets.
Two is out, 6 is back, and then the next one is like down to the pin. All right, so 2, 6. There you go.
Where's the wind now? Are we through the tack? What should we do with this main that's holding us into the wind?
Letting it out.
Okay, let it out significantly. All right, we're gonna fall way off.
We're cruising, yeah. We're cruising at like 7.5, 8 knots. Yesterday there was no wind. Now we got our wind on our beam, so it's pretty sweet.
I'm looking forward to having that security
in the sense that I am a really useful part and that I don't have to ask or be told exactly what to do.
Okay, now we start our furl. You want to grab both of these lines and lay them on top. So what we're going to do is make folds of the sail like this, on top of the miter, on top of the bowsprit. Everybody's going to grab the same bite of sail and haul aft.
In class, we're imagining it. We have a chart, but we're not really there. So now, like, we get our log, and we have our course data, and we're like, oh well, this is what it's really like. So now it makes sense. And you look at it on the chart, you plot whatever your position is, what you think it is, and then it's pretty sweet when you're like, oh, this is what we're doing in class. This is why we did it.
You put a position on the chart, and that means that the next watch knows where you are, which is a lot more motivation than 10 points on a grade.
We're all learning everything so fast, and we all know how to do an incredible amount, actually, rather than in books.
We've been setting sail, tacking and driving the ship, and right now we're doing one of our first major deployments with the hydro winch.
And then there's 3 things that we have to do before we deploy the CTD. One thing is take off the safety line.
All right, safety line's off.
What else?
Turn it on.
Turn it on. CTD is on.
CTD's on.
Take off the tube.
Very good.
Tube is off. Go ahead and J-frame out.
J-frame out.
That was a good grab. So gang, yeah, let's just work on then, that's good dipping for now, and let's work on getting these two then sort of thoroughly processed.
Maybe Carl?
We're fishing for clumps of sargassum. Jeff was saying communities of things that live just on sargassum, and so when we pull it up, we put it in these buckets and then kind of shake the sargassum around, and lots of shrimps and fish sometimes fall out of it. And so right now we're loosely identifying by size what we've pulled out and figuring out how much biomass there is.
Yeah, and what's great about this is actually Emily and Morgan are working up on these sargassum clumps, and this isn't even their project. They're learning how to deploy the gear and understand the data associated with chemical, physical, biological, and geological oceanography. And actually this project is for Zara and Eitan, and Zara right now is actually working in the galley. Eitan, I think, is sleepy, but their samples are being collected here by their shipmates. So just like we are sort of trusting ourselves with one of the students as the bow watch or on helm, or working with the sails, we're also sort of trusting each other to handle our samples and handling our data.
Just come all the way in, then we're going to lower the ship back. So it's just above this bucket here. Then we're going to drop the bucket.
So let's get this thing in the water. J-frame out. J-frame out. J-frame stop. J-frame stop. Stand by to 0. Stand by to 0. Wire lower slowly.
This is Margaret Garasha, and I'm here with Allison Pfeiffer and Derek Castro aboard the SSV Corwith Kramer. It's hard to believe that we've only been on board for 2 weeks. We have already entered what is called Phase 2, when we begin to take on more responsibilities on watch. All of us have been working to memorize sail lines, adjust points of sail, conduct weather observations, and adjust to the 24-hour watch schedule.
Daily life aboard the Kramer is eventful to say the least. The 18 of us are split up into 3 watch groups, and we work together either on deck, in the lab, or in the galley, helping to prepare food.
Sail handling is going on as we speak, with Morgan Kelly and Emily team furling the jib out on the bowsprit, and Zara Pickett holding it down at the helm, steering south, zigzagging our way against the winds to our next science deployment, and eventually on to Samana. That's all for now. On behalf of everyone, hi to moms, dads, and loved ones.
think another transition that you see after they spend so much time here aboard the Corps with Kramer is that it really does become sort of their home, and this does become their community.
I never knew that I could miss you so.
We just finished up a port stop in Samana Bay, and after 3 days in port, and it was a wonderful port stop, you could see the students were ready to go. They were ready to get back to their home. They were ready to be sailing again. And our port stop in Samana was a port stop, it was a vacation, and they wanted to come home.
Silverbank was pretty sweet. Back on shore, I think we had 2 scientists talk to us about the whales there, and they pretty much cracked it up to be a big whale hotspot, and they were actually right on because we saw tons of whales. Bunch breaching, a lot at the surface. Pretty much everywhere we went there was whales. In the distance near us when we were cruising to get to anchor, there was a lot there. And we listened to some whale songs. We had some gear that Noah gave us, and we listened to whale songs all night. It was pretty cool. Just shaved my head yesterday. I had long hair. Just shaved my head. Feel good. Feels good. I don't know about the look, but it feels good.
So here we are, days away from coming into our final destination, Key West, and we've got some challenging conditions like we have sort of had throughout the entire trip. We've got gusts of winds up to 30 knots, yet we see the Kramer and the crew doing what she does best, handling the seas very well and sailing along, continue on our mission of the program.
Hallway maintained.
And the students are now in what's referred to as Phase 3, where they have the junior watch officer.
Let's get hands to pass the staysails.
When they come up on watch, one of the students has now responsibility for the routine operations of sail handling and sail trim.
Hands to pass the jib. All right, hands to braces.
Ready, port braces.
All right, let go and hold. Nice job, guys.
The past 6 weeks on board with such a small community and really under sort of the challenging conditions that life at sea sort of presents to yourself, you can really see how the community comes together. begin to see the sort of shipmately behavior that is necessary at sea, where that people are sort of watching out for each other, looking out for each other, helping each other out under sort of challenging conditions.
My watch is a really neat group of people, and working with them as a small community within the larger is really, really fun. Coming on watch is a fun time to be efficient and have new close friends that 3 in the morning we can hang out and have a good time.
The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is in equilibrium with the aqueous carbon dioxide in the oceans.
Ekman transport was a really long time ago in class, but basically if you're moving in that way, Ekman transport goes to the right.
Lots of hydrogen ions are released and pH decreases.
Well, I think after these 12 weeks, what has changed for the students in their understanding and realization of the oceans is they can go beyond that sort of emotional response and now have a more of an intellectual understanding of the chemistry, the biology, the geology of the system, the physics of the system, and how they're all interconnected and do have a relationship to us back on shore.
The fact that the oceans is our environment, it's not that we are sort of preparing these students to be oceanographers or sailors or marine historians or policymakers, but they can do all that at the end of this program. If they want to do those things, they can. Or if they want to do something completely different, they'll sort of walk away with the skills that they've had to apply in these disciplines. They'll be able to walk away with the skill set and apply them in whatever sort of field that they choose to study in the future.
I understand a lot more about all of those morning lectures with Beth when she was talking about HOs and HCs and almanacs and all these numbers and things. To be at the helm and know how to choose a course, it makes me extremely happy.
It's just like, this is amazing. And we get to, you know, you get a chance to sail on it or be a part of like what the ocean has to hold for you. I think it's just, I mean, you look at it and you're like, wow, it's really cool, you know. For me, I love it. It's just really intriguing and there's a lot to learn about it, whether it's science or navigation or anything, yeah.
I guess I've seen boats as how you get from place to place, but you can't really live on a boat like this with the mindset that the goal is a destination, because things happen and you can't pull through a watch if all you're thinking about is the end of it. You have to be enjoying 2-knot wind as much as 20-knot wind, because there's going to be 2-knot wind and you're not going to be able to steer, but you have to just like be there in the process. And I don't know if I'm there yet, but there's something to be said for being on this boat, and I don't think I thought about coming back to Key West until we got here today, because it wasn't about Key West to Key West.
Days on the ocean can make a man weary and tired, with nothing to hold but the stories of old.
I think it was a really big growth experience for me as a college student, and as someone who is starting to try to find their own place in the world, to have that kind of experience where you're really stretched in many ways, and you're stretched beyond your comfort zone, both physically and mentally. You're with a small group of people for a long period of time, and everyone develops new ways to get along and to see how they fit into a larger group. And those are certainly things that I still look back on and think that was a very positive growth experience for me.
Can make a man long for the shore, make him dream about.
I thought it was a great experience. I mean, there are lots of different ways of getting out of the classroom. Doing field work, doing travel, doing study abroad. But I think S.E.A is a very unique experience. When you're out, we were out off of Bermuda. We didn't see a ship for 2 weeks at a time. We were completely independent. It was just us. And we were responsible, the students were responsible for most of the day-to-day operations of a 110-foot ship. I mean, that's just not an experience you get when you're 18 or 19 years old.
And S.E.A. I think is quite unique in that you're able to build on the projects that students have been doing for decades now and see how what you're doing, your smaller project, fits into the larger picture and the continuity, which in science it's very important to have that kind of continuity through these sorts of research projects.
We actually now send our students out on S.E.A., our graduate students, when we come in, because we want to give them a taste of what field work is like. And they get 3 or 4 days. I got 6 weeks. I got more field work done in S.E.A. and more field experience than most graduate students get in their entire graduate career.
While you dream away, roll after roll. Oh, and land exists only in dreams, on horizons of blue upon blue. We could sail on forever, it seems, with a captain who's able and a course that is true. 38 days on the ocean can make a man strong